Friday morning. Welcome in. We've made it through the end of the week. Safe travels into work wherever you may be headed on this Friday morning. Thank you for tuning in. 97.7 ESPN. There's a lot of stuff to get through. 256-576-4977. That's how you can join the program throughout the 2 hours. Again, 256-576-4977. A lot of stuff to get through. We're going to talk some football with some schedules and some more questions as we count down to the start of the college football season. And we are nearing closer and closer and closer to that start. In fact, we are 85 days, 4 hours, 58 minutes, and 27 seconds away from the start of the college football season. That's week 0. We'll run down some of the SEC schedules, some of the other schedules for early kickoff games throughout the year. Win streaks against some opponents. We'll throw that out there. Hey, NCAA baseball's underway today. We'll preview some of that around the country, around the league in Alabama. Yesterday, though, the Women's College World Series started in Oklahoma City, a beautiful venue for college softball, one of the best, if not the best. Alabama meeting up with UCLA. Remember, we went over it. UCLA trying to win their 13th national championship. Alabama trying to go for their second. This one was a back-and-forth affair. Bottom of the 6th, UCLA's Jordan Woolery, a 2-out, 3-run home run. Your difference in this one as UCLA knocks off Alabama yesterday 4-1. After the game, Alabama head coach Patrick Murphy.
Win it, they did it. One good swing. So both sides played well. Just a really good college softball game. And I think everybody on our team, and you guys probably who have covered softball before, knows that the 3 key things in a high-level game is a great start, great defense, and then a key hit. And they got the key hit. So kudos to the young lady. And, hey, we're going to look forward to tomorrow. We've been here before. Our backs have been against the wall, so it's no big deal. And we're going to fight like hell.
And that fight will continue this evening against Duke.
Well, Coach is right. I mean, Alabama did have opportunities. They had, a bases-loaded situation where they did get a key hit. That was Kinley Cahalan with 2 strikes, but the go-ahead run was thrown out at the plate, and I know there were some people wondering why he sent the runner, but as he said, they had to try. He was basically putting the pressure on the defense to see if they could come up with a perfect throw to throw out the base runner, which they did, and they appealed even. There was an appeal for an interference or slash obstruction that
right.
He tried to see if they could win to get that second run in. Did not work. So they tied it up at 1. Then they had another situation with a couple on that they could not get a base hit. I believe it was in the top of the 6th, as a matter of fact. And they didn't get a big hit to take the lead. And then, as you heard Coach, with 2 outs, 2 on, UCLA got that huge hit in the bottom of the 6th, a 3-run homer, and in many cases in the World Series and super regional or regional play, that's the difference in a game. Because honestly, the difference between softball and baseball, 7 innings, especially if it's a high-level pitch game,
right,
can go by really fast. I mean, before you know it, you're in the final. You're in the 5th, 6th, 7th inning, which is the 9 outs. Unless you go extras. And every at-bat is magnified. And so it's just every swing and one bad pitch. And look, that's how Alabama won, Game 3 in the Supers. And it ended up being in the 1st inning, but still, it was hit by pitch, bloop single, and then bam. You get a grand slam and you go up 4-0. And it held up for the entirety of the 7 innings. But that's a lot of times how it is. I mean, I know a lot of people want more offense. They want more, hitting. And sometimes that happens in the College World Series. You get a team that's hot and they start passing the bat down. But in many cases, it comes down to one swing because these are the best of the best.
Right.
And I thought Alabama battled hard. I thought they played good defense. It's just one of those things where they did. I believe one of the ones that scored was a hit by pitch, unfortunately. But that happens, and so. You just say if you're Alabama, you've just got to have a short memory. You're going to play Duke, who is in their first appearance in the College World Series. So, and I believe that's tonight at 6 Central Time.
Yep.
So, Alabama baseball will be playing at 5. But again, 6 o'clock elimination game. You're just, as he said, you got to fight like hell, fight to stay alive. And Alabama they actually did out hit UCLA 6-4. But UCLA got a 3-run homer. So Alabama just couldn't get that big extra base hit
That's what makes
get the lead.
softball so entertaining, though. That's why the intrigue is with softball, because it does move so fast.
It does move, very, very.
I mean, there's not a lot of wasted time.
That's a lot of the attraction of the game to people. It's very, very like college baseball, 3.5 hours. Okay,
right.
Softball, hour and 45 minutes.
Yep, and it's exciting, and there's a lot of emotion.
And it moves fast.
The girls play with a lot of emotion.
Yeah.
There's a lot of feistiness. There's a lot of I mean, it's different. 256-576-4977. You did mention they will take on Duke in this one. Let's see here. I wanted to also pull up. Anyway, but we will have Alabama baseball on at 5. We will have that. If Alabama baseball finishes and softball is still going on, we will give you the end of the softball game as well. But we can only give you one thing at a time. So we will have Alabama baseball on because they are starting first at 5 o'clock. So,
and just for another example, Florida beats Oklahoma State 1-0.
In a pitcher's duel.
And it was a homer. Okay. Florida, hit the home run, and Kate Kistler hit it. And that's just the way it is. She hit it out to right field, and that's what usually decides these kind of games, man. I mean, they're extremely hotly contested, and and it was late in the ball game, and so that's just the way it is, because a lot of times, there's just it's just one bad pitch.
And Oklahoma downs Duke 9-1. That one was only 6 innings.
Right. Now, that was a run rule. Oklahoma is the standard. They're trying to win 4 in a row, which even UCLA didn't do in their salad days. So, I mean, and also to tell you what, you got to make big defensive plays too. The Gator center fielder, she robbed OSU of a home run over the wall in center field. So, again, it's a very small margin for error.
Texas downs Stanford 4-0, and as you mentioned, Florida shuts out Oklahoma State 1-0 in a pitcher's duel. So your winners bracket: UCLA will take on Oklahoma tomorrow. Texas will take on Florida tomorrow. Today you get Alabama and Duke, that one at 6 o'clock, and then you get Stanford and Oklahoma State. That one will be at 8:30. So that is your Women's College World Series from Oklahoma City there, going on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. We will have, again, Alabama baseball for you, Alabama softball, if still going on. We'll finish it up after that. 256-576-4977. That's how you can join the program this morning. So that does lead us into NCAA Regional Baseball.
Yep.
That is going on. By the way, the SEC, just so you know, this is the beginning of the quest to bring home a national championship. And the SEC, by the way, has claimed 9 national titles by 6 different schools since 2009, including 4 in the last 4 tournaments. 8 SEC teams have finished runner-up, and there have been 4 SEC versus SEC World Series finals during that period.
Yeah.
So that is what we are beginning the journey for. This is the very beginning of the journey. Tennessee, Kentucky, remember, they claimed the SEC regular season titles. Tennessee wins the SEC tournament. The SEC has claimed the top 3 seeds and 4 of the top 5 in the 64-team field. Tennessee are number 1 overall. Kentucky number 2. Texas A&M number 3. Arkansas number 5. And Georgia earned the number 7 seed. For Alabama, they will begin quest today against UCF. And Drew, what will we think of Alabama? Will the last rough few weeks be a memory for the Tide? I mean, can they shake the 5-6 run in the regular season?
Softball went 3-9 for postseason, and people were wanting him fired. Now they're in the World Series, so don't mean a damn thing. It's 0-0. Get your head out your ass, swing the bat well, play defense, and get some good pitching. Have a couple pitchers get hot. Doesn't matter. You can still advance. Man, are the home teams favored? Yes, for a reason. Home field advantage in college baseball means more in many cases than it does in the major leagues or the minor leagues. But I do think that, yes, you can in baseball, it doesn't take much, to kind of ignite you. I do think Alabama's very capable, and it's going to help some of these SEC teams just to get the hell out of conference play. Where you're playing in the toughest league in America.
Right.
5 of the top 7 national seeds are from your league. Everybody knows everybody. That's all you're playing for a gauntlet of 10 straight weeks. And now you get a chance to play other people from other leagues, and in many cases said leagues are not nearly as deep or as good. Yes, you can make a run. Now, is it going to be easy for Alabama? No. I think they got a pretty tough draw. I thought in the basketball tournament they got an advantageous draw. I don't know. I don't think this is the toughest draw Alabama could have got, but I do think that it's still – is not going to be easy. UCF is even a little bit different. They've always been pretty good, but they're a little bit different now because they actually had to play in the Big 12, and the Big 12 is a pretty good baseball league. Is it the SEC? Hell no. But it's still pretty good. And so, the key is going to be the mound, man. I think Alabama's going to swing the bats, even though you're going to get UCF's Friday night guy, man, because – when you're in a 2-3 game,
you have nothing to lose.
Now, sometimes if you're in a 1-4 game, depending on who you're playing,
right, you
can try to, throw your number 2 and save your number 1. Now, one year that blew up in Alabama's face in 2002 when they threw Shane Sanders instead of Lance Cormier, and Alabama lost. Now, they nearly dug their way out of the losers bracket, and they lost in the championship game, the what-if game, but – again, most of the time you're going to keep your rotation the way it is. I would expect to see Greg Ferrone. The last few starts, Ferrone has been, decent to not very good. He hasn't been great, but again, he's had the one thing Alabama has had that should could help them is they've had a long break to practice, to kind of recharge your batteries, because remember, Scott, they lost on Tuesday, so
right.
They have not played in over a week. You've had a week and a half off to recharge your batteries, get healthy, and so hopefully, in some cases people want to say, well, you want to play deep into your conference tournament to stay in a rhythm and everything like that, but in some cases it can help you. You can refresh. You've had a chance to certainly scout the heck out of your opponent and get comfortable. This Alabama team is an offensive team. They're playing in an offensive ballpark in Dick Howser Stadium, so they have not played there in a while. But again,
in fact, you bring that up,
mm-hmm.
and this is going to be a very familiar name in this first round because these two met in 2011. In the Tallahassee Regional, where Alabama got a win in Game 1, 5-3, and then had to eliminate UCF from regional play with a 12-5 victory 2 days later.
Yeah, in the losers bracket.
Yep, these two played in 2011 in Tallahassee.
Yeah, so
it's been a little bit. 13 years.
To me, the key is Alabama needs to once again get off to a good start. They need 5 or 6 innings out of Ferrone to get them decently deep in the game. And ideally, you would use 2 to 3 pitchers max in this game.
Right.
If you're having to use 5 or 6, start drinking, because it's going to be one of those things where you're going to go into the losers bracket and you better score 12 to 15 runs per game, because that's probably what it's going to take. And again, you've got to play good defense. But we're going to talk to Roger Hoover at the top of the second hour and get his thoughts on it. But this is an Alabama team that is capable of exploding. I mean, they can score 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 runs, and they can stack it. But at times their defense has let them down, especially in the infield. It's been a little bit of a hit or miss, and their pitching it just wasn't good in the down the stretch, and especially in the SEC tournament, they just struggled. I mean, they tried to go with their high leverage arms early after Ferrone ran into some trouble against South Carolina. But let's give credit to South Carolina. If they could have fielded a ground ball and thrown to first, they would have been in the finals. They actually played good baseball throughout that week. So, in other words, you ran into a hot team. And look at South Carolina. They had come in losing 6 in a row. They were on the bubble. If they had lost to Alabama in that first game and lost their last 7 games,
right,
they would have been sweating it out to see if they were going to be one of the last 4 out, probably. When the
Florida Gators,
they would have definitely been sweating. But they'd had a great run, got deep in the tournament, and so they were in good shape. So they had a good showing for themselves. If you're Alabama, you just got to wipe everything clean. Who cares what everybody's ERA is? It's about what your ERA is this weekend. So it's about how you play this weekend, how you approach things, be locked in, because this is do or die.
It is.
Your season can be over quickly. So
it's just like anything else. You want to stay in the winners bracket.
That's exactly right.
If you win the first one, you set yourself up for early success.
When you're in a 4-team regional, to me, the most important game is game 1.
Yes.
Because if you get into, it's what I just said, if you get into the losers bracket, your pitching gets off kilter a lot of times.
Well, because you're fighting to stay alive.
You're fighting to stay alive.
You go deep in the bullpen if you have to. You throw everybody because you don't want to lose.
You throw 7 guys if you have to or whatever, but you don't want to do that. You want to keep everything on a schedule, and you want to be aggressive offensively. And, again, you want to pitch well, and you want to have your arms lined up. Now, everything gets off kilter when you go into the losers bracket, because all you're thinking about in the losers bracket is win the game, no matter who has to pitch, okay? And then you worry about the next game. So game 1 is extremely important, and that'll be at 5 o'clock Central Time today on 97.7 The Zone, Alabama and UCF.
All right, let's get a break in. When we come back, we'll run down the rest of the national slate. Plus, we've got college football kickoff times to get through. Oh, we're going to hear from Nate Oates. We got all kinds of good stuff today. We've only just begun.
97.7 ESPN The Zone is the Tennessee Valley's #1 destination for the finest in sports talk all day long. Tune in to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond each morning at 7. Then, the Morning Blitz with Captain Cool and the Bandy Man. At noon, it's the Tom Abraham Show. Followed by Paul Feinbaum and The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. The Zone is also your home for University of Alabama and UAH sports, plus the Atlanta Braves and the High School Sports Streaming Network. And sister station Talk Radio WZZN has Trash Pandas action with Josh Carey all season long. 97.7 ESPN The Zone and Talk Radio WZZN. Listen on the air or download the apps and take them with you everywhere.
at 71.294 miles an hour.
You wake up late for school, man, you don't want to go. You ask your mom, please, but she still says no. You missed 2 classes and no homework. But your teacher preaches class like you're some kind of jerk. You gotta fight for your right to party.
.22 on a Friday morning. Again, a Friday morning that sees us making it through the end of the week. 256-576.
Fast week, just like a fast softball game.
Uh-huh.
Hour
Well, I
and
tell you
58
what, though.
minutes yesterday, even with an hour and a half rain delay.
I love watching college baseball because I think it's
Yeah.
exciting. Because
It is.
You know, back in the day, I always used to say, especially when they were in Omaha at Rosenblatt Stadium, you were never out of the game with the aluminum bats that they played with.
No.
Because you could have an 8-hitter, 9-hitter in the lineup that had no power all of a sudden make contact with the ball with those aluminum bats, and it was going 400 feet.
Yeah.
I mean, it was easy. And then, you know, obviously college baseball goes through the change where they change the aluminum bats. They deaden the bats a little bit. They make it harder for a home run to happen. I mean, and so the game comes back to being more like baseball rather than just being a home run derby. But college softball is so entertaining because of the 7 innings, because of how fast it moves. There's not a lot of wasted time. The excitement is there. And they found a way to capitalize on it and make it entertaining. That's why that Women's College World Series is very entertaining to watch.
Well, I will tell you this. In college baseball, sometimes we'll see. I mean, as I said, Alabama's playing in Dick Howser Stadium, which is considered to be an offensive ballpark. But, hell, usually the Hoover Mets Yellowstone Park. But
Yes,
it played like an offensive park. I mean, you think about it. You just talked about how leads are never safe. I mean, freaking South Carolina was up on LSU 8-0. 8-0 in the 4th inning, and they lost 12-11.
Yeah, well, I mean, it does happen still.
I mean,
that's all right. Some questions around the rest of the SEC teams going into college baseball, into the playoffs. Is this Dave Van Horn's time? Can he get Arkansas to the top of the mountain?
You just got to keep chopping wood.
22, year 22.
And before he went to Arkansas 22 years ago, he got Nebraska to the College World Series. You just got to keep chopping. He was 1 out away several years ago. We all remember that in foul territory. The ball hit the ground, and then, oh, Lord. And then they ended up losing that series, the final series. But they have continued to be a factor each and every year.
Yep.
Look, think about how long it took Mississippi State to win it. And Ron Polk never did. And even when Ole Miss came out of nowhere. So if you keep chopping and you keep getting there, eventually you're going to win it. Patrick Murphy certainly did that, with Alabama softball. I know there's been some frustration because he hasn't won it again, but they ain't easy to win. And
right.
The only school that's made it look easy is Oklahoma. Everybody else, Florida State had a 1 year where they got it. Florida got a couple. But it's just really difficult to do. And so Tennessee's never done it. Texas, who's the number 1 team in the country right now, they've never done it. It's just championships can be difficult to win. And so,
yes.
I mean, LSU, when they won it last year in baseball, they hadn't won it since 2009. And so it had been a long time. Paul Maneri won it early in his career, but LSU had some missed opportunities. But, and Kevin O'Sullivan, Florida's had a ton of great teams. He's been there 17 years. he won the first one for the Gators, and they've had a lot of great ball clubs that many people thought. I mean, think about this. I mean, I'll never forget when Andy Lopez, before he went to Florida, Pepperdine. He took Pepperdine to the College World Series championship. So it's about lining up, getting
Long
some
Beach
breaks.
State used to be a perennial.
Yeah, they were.
I mean,
Dave
they
Snow,
were a
the
perennial.
Dirtbags. Yeah.
All right, so other ones. So here's one for you. If the Florida Gators, to me, Florida has a lot of pressure because if they don't win a game, they have the number one strength of schedule.
Yeah.
We all know they're just a game above 500 overall. If they don't win a game, there's going to be a lot of people pointing fingers saying Florida should not have been in the NCAA tournament despite having the number one strength of schedule.
If I'm O'Sullivan, this is the way I handle it. They're down 2 outfielders too, by the way. You know, they've got 2 injuries, which is very unfortunate. So offensively, they may not quite be as potent, but you do have the best player, in my opinion, in said regional in Jack Caglione. Now, you don't know. He's usually their game 3 starting pitcher, but he's got 29 bombs. He's an unbelievable hitter. But for Florida, this is the way I would approach it. Thank God I'm out of the SEC, and I'm away from home. No pressure. We're not playing at home in a regional because they've actually had trouble at home in regional play lately. You ain't playing there. You're playing in Stillwater, Oklahoma, in an offensive ballpark. Just go there and attack. To me, to be honest with you, with Florida, I don't think they have pressure. They got in, so you're 0-0, and they were a top 5 team in the country to start the season. Just didn't work out. But and there are going to be people, well, you don't deserve to be in. Hell, use it as motivation. Be like, we're in the biggest, baddest league in the country. We don't really give a piss, to quote Roll Tide Willie, about the rest of y'all. So we're coming in here to burn your house down. Okay,
Right.
That's what I'd be sitting there saying, and like, okay, you don't think we deserve to be in here? You're making fun of us. What if we got here and beat you 10-2? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then and then all of a sudden, whoops. Maybe you didn't play as good a competition as we did. Now, they're playing Nebraska, who should
Not
be a
gonna
pretty
be
good
easy.
Big Ten team.
Yeah.
Now, I keep reminding myself that they're not a friggin' Big 12 team.
Nope.
They're a Big 10 team
Yep.
playing a bunch of cold weather teams.
Yep.
Okay? See, that's what I'm going to be fascinated with in the future. How is this going to affect UCLA and USC in baseball when you go from playing in California against a bunch of tree huggers, but they are baseball schools in effect, and there's good baseball on the West Coast.
And you got to go play Minnesota.
Now you're going to
and
play in
Minneapolis,
Minnesota and Rutgers and all these other places.
Michigan in the
Yeah.
cold, Michigan State in the cold. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's not. There's going to be a weather culture shock there, man.
Oh, there will be. All right, speaking of culture shock, Kentucky has shaken up the baseball, back-to-back appearances in the NCAA tournament. They've never made it to Omaha. Last year, they were in the NCAA tournament. They ran into a buzzsaw in LSU in a super regional. I mean,
Yeah, that was
LSU
tough.
was, I mean, there's not an SEC team standing in their way this year.
Right.
I mean, is this a golden opportunity for Kentucky to get to the College World Series?
Well, I mean, they're a really good team. I mean, they were 1 win away from winning the regular season championship. I mean, and people kind of doubted them all year. Well, they're 14-1, but they're Kentucky. Well, by the time they were 14-1, you shouldn't have doubted them anymore. I mean, it is the SEC, and I'll just say this: Alabama, I thought in their 10-game gauntlet in the series, they only got dominated one time. Like, they did get swept by Georgia, but hell, they had leads in 2 of the games. Okay, they only got just whacked one time, and that was by Kentucky. Kentucky
Right.
beat the hell out of them for 3 straight games. And so Kentucky, the way they play, they steal a lot of bases. They play good defense. They pitch pretty well. They even have some power this year. They have more power than usual. And don't forget, let's give a shout-out to state champion Bob Jones, Mitchell Daly, third base, Kentucky, transfer from Texas, went to Bob Jones. So
Yeah.
he's a starter. He's a big part of that ball club. So it was enjoyable watching him play in Hoover. So hopefully Kentucky can make a run. I definitely think that it's very possible. I think all the SEC hosts, I mean, there was 5 of them. They all have a great shot at getting to the Supers. Then once you get to the Supers, it's a little bit more difficult because you're playing an even better ball club. But if you're at home, it's always advantageous, which all 5 of them would be. But again, we've seen in the past, Tennessee had a great ball club a couple of years ago where they won the regular season and the tournament, but fell short against Link Jarrett and Notre Dame in one of the most glorious series I've ever watched in all my life. And then also that we've seen Arkansas a few years ago. You were talking about Dave Van Horn. They were the number one team in the country. They had an unbelievable ball club.
Yes.
And then they lost in the Supers. So it's just you're not guaranteed anything. I saw Alabama have that happen to them in 2006 because they got an underseeded North Carolina team who went all the way to the championship series. Probably should have won it, but they were not a national seed and they should have been, and had pros all over their team. But again, what you got to do is if you're the SEC, I still think they got good draws, and I even think like a 2 seed like Mississippi State is going to be very, very dangerous. I think LSU, if you're North Carolina's had one hell of a year, okay? But you didn't want to see LSU as your number 2 seed.
All right,
so
the misfortune of being the number 1 overall seed falls to Tennessee.
Yeah.
And we say that because no number 1 seed has won a national championship since 1999.
Jim Morris and the Miami Hurricanes.
Yes, Tennessee was the overall number 1 seed in 2022. They did not even reach Omaha in 2022. So that falls to Tennessee. Let's get in Jeff from the Borough real fast before the break. Good morning, Jeff.
How's it going, guys?
Good.
Well, I know we're Kentucky, so I know we're not expected to do much. So they'll probably get to the Supers and probably lose. I don't know who they'll play, but that's probably what will happen.
They match up with Corvallis, Jeff.
I don't know if they will or not. They play Western Michigan. I don't know much about them. So Indiana State's really good, though, so I know they're really good.
I'll just be honest. I think the Oregon State Regional is tough because they have a team like Tulane as their 4 seed, but I don't think any of those teams, I'm looking at Oregon State, Tulane, Nichols, and UC Irvine, I don't think any of them are better than Kentucky. I'm just going to call it Kentucky's going to Omaha.
Oregon State's won the College World Series before, true.
I know they have. They've won a couple times. I don't really give a crap right now, though. I think this year Kentucky's better than them.
Well, that's history, though. And that's what people's going to say. It's Kentucky. They've never done it before.
Well, I mean, it's about time to break through. I mean, they've been to the Women's World Series.
It might be the year to do it. I hope they do, but it's just like, like y'all was talking about softball. I mean, Oklahoma's team right now on the West Coast, UCLA and all them was when they first started, they was all the tops until the rest of everybody came along. So, I mean, UCLA's been good. Arizona's been good. All them schools until, it comes along. But, I mean, Kentucky with the northernmost team in the SEC, we're not supposed to be good at baseball. Give me a break. Come on. You guys know better. We'll see what happens, though. We'll see this weekend. Hang in there.
All right.
Here we go.
Doom and gloom.
Poor pitiful Jeff. He's just trying to say, well, nobody gave us any respect because we weren't supposed to win if they lose. But then if
they win, it's going to be, well, I told you.
Adversity.
Yeah.
Well, now what he's going to say is if they don't win, he's going to say that I cursed them, and then if they do, then he's gonna try to say that I picked against them, which I did not. I just said they were going to the World Series.
All right, let's get a break in. When we come back, we'll talk college football, schedules in the SEC and beyond.
97.7 ESPN The Zone is the Tennessee Valley's #1 destination for the finest in sports talk all day long. Tune in to Talkin Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond each morning at 7. Then, the Morning Blitz with Captain Cool and the Bandyman. At noon, it's the Tom Abraham Show, followed by Paul Feinbaum and The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. The Zone is also your home for University of Alabama and UAH sports, plus the Atlanta Braves and the High School Sports Streaming Network. And sister station Talk Radio WZZN has Trash Pandas action with Josh Carey all season long. 97.7 ESPN The Zone and Talk Radio WZZN. Listen on the air or download the apps and take them with you everywhere.
It has happened. 171.294 miles an hour.
You want to talk to me? You just call me.
And we'll take care of it. You worry about getting well. We'll take care of the rest.
The Lackey Law Firm.
And I'll go you one better. If you can't come to us, we'll come to you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners of the Huntsville area, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
Hi, welcome back in. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. The SEC spring meetings have come and they have gone. They are done. They're in Destin. They are over with. And they leave behind them plenty of questions around the game. A lot of questions that won't be answered tomorrow, that won't be answered in a month, that won't be answered in 6 months, or won't even be answered in a year. A lot of those are the roster sizes. A lot of it is there's a lot of questions surrounding college football, and a lot of people don't have the answers to. We don't have the answers to. We just ask a lot of the questions that they're still trying to ask. But what they did leave behind is schedules. That was the one thing they left behind in kickoff times. Yesterday, the SEC announcing the up to week 3 of kickoff times. And the much anticipated Murray State at Missouri game on August 29th will get underway at 7 o'clock on the SEC network. I know a lot of people were dying to find out that one, as well as Bobby Petrino's debut as Arkansas offensive coordinator on that same day against Arkansas Pine Bluff. That'll be a 6:30 kick on ESPNU.
Well, I'll just say probably Bob will put up 62 or 63 in that game, I'm sure.
And I know this one was also announced. This one was, let me find this one here because this one is good. On September 14th, nobody will rock the CW.
Oh, yeah. Here we go. Lane Kiffin and Deacon.
Whatever the CW has on before it, whatever rerun of whatever rerun it is.
That harkens me back to, the old days of TBS having the Jefferson Pilot game of the week, at 11:30 in the morning.
Having an infomercial right before the game and then an infomercial right after.
They had that unique intro, you know what I'm saying? And you'd have Bob Kessling and Dave Rowe, big man on big man.
Well, on September 14th, Ole Miss and Wake Forest will be on the CW.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I believe it's a 5:30 kick. It says 6:30, so I'm just going to assume that's Eastern time, so it's going to be a 5:30 kick there. Other SEC games of note.
But that game's at Wake, right?
The game's at Wake.
Yeah,
that's why it's on the
CW. You see.
Yeah, because it's the ACC.
Dave Clawson and the Deacons.
Yep. The Kalen DeBoer era will officially kick off on August 31st. Western Kentucky visiting Alabama. 6 o'clock kick on ESPN. That'll get the Kalen DeBoer era. And then Alabama A&M, the Bulldogs, traveling down to the Plains, taking on the Auburn Tigers. That one will be a 6:30 kick on ESPN Plus, SEC Network Plus. That'll be Hugh Freeze's 2024 debut. So there's your Alabama and Auburn Week 1 kickoffs. We'll go over some more times here, but LC is with us this morning. Good morning, LC.
Morning, guys.
Morning.
The show. Guys, you mentioned Bobby Petrino as the debut, athletic, offensive coordinator for the Hogs. I have never seen an athletic director as angry as the guy who fired fired him after that fiasco with the motorcycle and so forth. The guy, I can still see him at that press conference barely containing his anger, and I can't believe Bobby Petrino's back at Arkansas. And the athletic director, do you guys, did he retire, guys? I know he moved on and it didn't go too well. What are your thoughts or memories about that, and what do you know about his career? I'm sorry, I can't recall his name. I'm sure you
Jeff
guys
Long.
know.
Jeff Long was the athletic director that
he went on
fired
to
him.
Kansas and he crashed and burned there because of the FBI.
Man, what did you think of all that? I feel like we're in bizarro world that Bobby's back in Arkansas. Just any thoughts about him being back there, guys?
Well, the Arkansas folks are all excited, man.
Jeff Long has not worked since 2021.
Yeah, after he got killed.
Wow.
Yeah, he was at Kansas for 3 years,
And
from
got
Arkansas to
canned
Kansas.
Of the FBI.
Yeah.
And so, but the thing about it, the reason Jeff Long was so angry, they didn't want to fire Petrino. He had it rolling. I mean, they were the second best team in the West behind Alabama. They were averaging 10 wins a year, been to a Big Six bowl game, and everybody was excited. And then it all came crashing down. And then ever since then, Arkansas has really been mediocre. So they're actually really excited to bring him back, because if you look at Bobby Petrino's run at Arkansas, it's been better than Houston Nuts. It was the best. It was the most success they've had in the SEC in their history since coming over in '92.
Drew and Scott, are they thinking, hey, we're going to sneak him back in because if it doesn't go good, he's right there. Next step would be making him the head coach again. Do you think that's what's on everybody's mind in Arkansas?
I don't know.
I mean, there'll be a faction of the fan base that wants to do that. I don't know how you sell that part of it unless they. But here's the thing: it's a double-edged sword. You know, if they go out and average 40 points per game and Sam wins 9, they're not firing Sam. Okay.
No.
Yeah.
But I'll say this though too. I mean, Bobby Petrino had to go to the so-called 1AA route to repair his image. Because when he was at Louisville, the second time, not the first time he had a lot of success.
Yeah.
It didn't go so well for him as a head coach on the Division I level at Louisville the second time. So he was not in demand as a head coach.
Right.
So he had to go to Southwest Missouri State, I think it was, and he brought his brother in there. I mean, he repaired his image. But he did not and was not getting offers as a head coach on the Power 5 level. He was only getting them as a coordinator. So I don't know if his viability as a head coach is as hot as it once was.
We got you.
Yeah, sorry guys, I felt like I was losing you. I'm going to get off here, but he became a hill topper for 1 year, didn't he?
Well, that was right after he went back to Louisville for the second time. So
right,
that's
right.
He really was off the Division I, Power 5 radar after everything fell apart on him at Louisville as well. And that wasn't really for another off the field situation. That was just because after Lamar Jackson, things fell apart.
Right.
That's right. Guys, love the show. Thanks for taking my call.
Yeah. Thanks. He was at Missouri State for 2 years, from 2020 to 2022 as head coach. His second stint at Louisville lasted 4 years. 2014 to 2018 was his second stint at Louisville. And he was, I say it didn't go well. He was 77 and, let's see, he went 5-3, 5-3, 7-1, 4-4, and 0-7 in his second stint there at Louisville.
Yeah, it just fell apart. I mean, the bottom completely fell out. And don't forget, that was around the time Rick Pitino started getting in trouble too. Tom Jurich, the athletic director. The entire athletic department was about to be set on fire.
Yeah, because he went 9-4, 8-5, 9-4, 8-5, and then 2-8. I mean, it literally
just fell apart, bro.
And he was not ultimate. I mean, he was 5-1, 6-2, and 3-5 in conference play.
Yeah,
there
Lamar won
with
the
Missouri
Heisman
State.
under him.
Yeah. He was 18-15 at Missouri State overall, but they also played a lot of money games in there, so his overall record.
That program's
he was 5-5, 8-4, and 5-6.
Yeah.
And then he was there 3 years. Goes to Texas A&M, offensive coordinator for 1 year, and we all know how that ended with dirt neck in the unemployment line.
Well, there you go.
I wouldn't even say the unemployment line because he's not.
Oh, he got $80 million.
Yeah, he's sitting in the penthouse still, smiling.
Like I said on the drive last night, he could start Yellowstone, the reality show, for God's sakes.
He's just controlling anything he wants to control. He's doing whatever he wants to do. Anyway, let's get a break in. We'll wrap up hour one next.
97.7 ESPN The Zone is the Tennessee Valley's #1 destination for the finest in sports talk all day long. Tune in to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond each morning at 7. Then, the Morning Blitz with Captain Cool and the Vandy Man. At noon, it's the Tom Abraham Show. Followed by Paul Feinbaum and The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. The Zone is also your home for University of Alabama and UAH sports, plus the Atlanta Braves and the High School Sports Streaming Network. And sister station Talk Radio WZZN has Trash Pandas action with Josh Carey all season long. 97.7 ESPN The Zone and Talk Radio WZZN. Listen on the air or download the apps and take them with you everywhere.
It has happened. 171.294 miles an hour.
You wake up late for school, man, you don't want to go. You ask your mom, please, but she still says no. You missed 2 classes and no homework. But your teacher preaches class like you're some kind of jerk. You gotta fight for your right to party.
Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. I have your answer to the spell off.
Oh, Lord.
By the way, the Scripps National Spelling Bee yesterday came down to its second ever spell off. And for those that don't know what the spell off is in the spelling bee, I did not until I looked it up, and now I do. It is a fast and furious tie-breaking round that rewards speed as much as accuracy. Participants are given 90 seconds on the clock.
Oh, Lord.
You have to spell as many of the announced words as possible.
They give you more than one at a time? What the?
Bruat Simona.
Bruat.
And Fazian Zaki. Okay, there were 2 spellers remaining after 14 rounds.
Right.
Bruat, a 12-year-old from Tampa.
Tampa.
Spelled 29 correct words in 90 seconds. 7 more. 7 more than his competitor.
I've never seen
Oh,
one
no,
of those.
7 more than the previous spell-off winner in 2022.
Wow. I've watched the script spelling bee before, but I've never seen one of those spell-offs where they just give you a bunch of words. You got to see how many of them you could spell in a minute and a half. 29?
29 words.
Wow.
The record was 22, so he blew by the record.
This is one smart cat, man. He'll be building rockets. Pretty much guarantee you that.
245 competitors in the script spelling bee.
Crazy, man. I mean, so those I don't even know, man, how they study it. They must study these dictionaries because these words. I mean, I'm just telling you, brother.
Man,
I have a hard enough time pronouncing Tunga Vailoa and Iomaliava and.
Well, see, that's pronunciating them.
Yeah.
Imagine just
Spell
trying
it.
to have
Hell
to spell them all.
Is
There you go.
Bruette.
Brouette.
Adelantado.
Adelantado.
Hypercheme.
Hyporchgme.
Bicelium.
Biscellum.
Nycteric.
Mycteric.
Endacha.
Endecha.
Saracen.
This dude is on fire.
Nyctalopia.
He's in the zone.
Tlopia.
Ascum.
Ascham.
Wenzel.
Wenzel.
Sibel.
Good Lord.
Theotophany.
Heutopany.
He did that 29 times.
He will at least make a 34 on the ACT, if not a 35 or a 36.
He may correct the ACT.
He may do it in 5 minutes. You know what I'm saying?
That dude was rattling. I was just hearing the word.
I mean,
and he was already spelling it and having it spelt before I could even think of what the word was.
This is Harvard and Yard or Yale or MIT or something. Wow.
Coming up at the top of the hour. That was impressive. Coming up at the top of the hour, Roger, R-O-G-E-R, Hoover. H-O-O-V-E-R. He will join us at the top of the hour.
A-L-A-B-A-M-A.
Oh, my gosh. That is impressive right there.
I just got a text. Somebody thought it was Jeff in the Burrow on steroids. At least we can understand this kid, though.
Kwazoku.
Kwazoku.
Panetiere.
Panetiere.
Sagai.
Sagai.
Nachschlager.
Nachschlage.
Exorason.
What? I can't even Naslaga. What the hell is that?
I can't even fathom.
I can't.
Oh,
and
my.
spelling it that fast?
Pustar.
He did.
Asarotum.
Asarotum.
Scintilante.
Scintilante.
Don't give him a Red Bull, man.
Myrabalanus.
Sinaf.
S-C-I-N-I-P-H.
Voussoir.
V-O-U-S-S-O-I-R.
Caixinha.
C-A-I-X-I-N-H-A.
Ramoneur.
R-A-M-O-N-E-U-R.
Apociopesis.
A-P-O-S-I-O-P-E-S-I-S.
Abseil.
A-B-S-E-I-L.
Passology.
Good Lord!
29. That is just, this is remarkable.
Harrison.
This is the other guy.
S-A-R-A-C-E-N.
Nyctalopia.
N-Y-C-T-A-L-O-P-I-A.
Ascum.
It's just insane. Wow. But they study and they practice.
Oh, they study, but
and then they go over all that. But
that's
to do
pressure.
to do them that fast.
Under that kind of pressure?
All right, we're going to put Roger Hoover under pressure coming up at the top of the hour. We're going to ask him about Alabama baseball as they kick off their NCAA regional run. You know what? I want to go to the College World Series. I want to go to the Women's College World Series. I want to go to the Script Spelling Bee one day, too, as well. I want to sit in there and watch this. I mean, I think it would be entertaining. I really do.
That spell off was entertaining. I mean, good
Boom,
Lord.
boom, boom, boom.
What if he had a cherry donut? Good Lord.
All right.
Some of that Ray Espresso, but kids ain't going to drink coffee. But if you give that
kids
kid
do
a Red
drink.
Bull,
I mean, I don't know.
I don't know,
man.
know. You give that kid a Red Bull, he might have spelled 60
He might
words.
fall asleep, though. It might work the opposite. All right, let's get a break in. Hour
It was
two.
like Billy Hoyle. He was in the zone.
97.7 ESPN The Zone is the Tennessee Valley's #1 destination for the finest in sports talk all day long. Tune in to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond each morning at 7. Then, the Morning Blitz with Captain Cool and the Bandyman. At noon, it's the Tom Abraham Show, followed by Paul Feinbaum and The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. The Zone is also your home for University of Alabama and UAH sports, plus the Atlanta Braves and the High School Sports Streaming Network. And sister station Talk Radio WZZN has Trash Pandas action with Josh Carey all season long. 97.7 ESPN The Zone and Talk Radio WZZN. Listen on the air or download the apps and take them with you everywhere.
It has happened. 171.294 miles an hour.
You wake up late for school, man, you don't want to go. You ask your mom, please, but she still says no. You missed 2 classes and no homework. Your teacher preaches class like you're some kind of jerk. You gotta fight for your right to
And Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now. 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. As usual, this hour brought to you by our very, 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 very good friends, SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center, dedicated to providing care that improves lives. SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center. Give them a call today, 256-881-5151 to experience that SportsMed difference.
Spell that 3 times fast.
What, SportsMed? SportsMed. Bing, S-P-O-R-T. Okay, anyway. Alabama baseball on the road, NCAA regional time. They're going to take on UCF. That one will come up today at 5 o'clock. Alabama, as far as regional play goes, this is the 13th overall meeting between the two teams. They are 6-6 in their previous pairings.
Yep.
As for Alabama, the 27th NCAA regional appearance for the Crimson Tide.
Well, and last year with the Chris Stewart saw the Crimson Tide advance to the Super Regionals against #1 Wake Forest. They hosted in Tuscaloosa for the first time since 2006, winning it. Now they're going on the road to Tallahassee, and you're going to listen to Roger Hoover later this evening, early evening for the Crimson Tide. It will be 6 Eastern, 5 Central as the Crimson Tide take on the UCF Knights. The first game will be, I believe, at 11 a.m. Central, 12 Eastern time. I believe the host to Florida State is going to take the field first. They will take the field against Stetson, and then Alabama will be taking the field tonight. And Roger Hoover's been kind enough to join us live from Tallahassee. Roger, good morning.
Hey, good morning from just outside the state capital of Florida. Just walked by that here a second ago. It's a lovely day for some baseball. I'm glad to get the journey to Omaha started today.
Yeah, no doubt. And how is the weather looking, Roger? I know we had some dicey weather at the beginning of the Women's World Series. How's it looking tonight in Tallahassee?
Yeah, the next 2 days look really, really good here. I mean, it's going to be warm. It's going to be in the 80s, but sunny and mostly partly cloudy skies. So it's in really good shape the next 2 days. I think Sunday is when they're expecting some inclement weather, both in the morning and some spotty thunderstorms in the afternoon and evening. So who knows if we're going to have to wait a long time for that game. But hopefully that's a game that Alabama just has to win once to move on to regionals. But for the next 2 days, we are good to go. Everything looks great here.
Yeah, there's not too many times. In fact, I mean, this is really the only time. I mean, the SEC tournament, yes, you can, but you get to hit a full reset button.
Yeah.
When you get to hit the reset button, you have a little bit of downtime in between the SEC tournament and regional play. You get to kind of get some rest, a couple days here and there. You get your pitching all lined up. You get a full reset mentally, physically, and it's a reset probably that Alabama could use.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. And I think you look at some other sports across campus this year, that was certainly the case with the men's basketball team, the softball team before their great runs in the NCAA tournament. So hopefully baseball is going to be the exact same because, you know, it was such a stressful end of the season when you go back 3 weeks, go back to that Mississippi State series when Alabama had the food poisoning that went throughout the entire team. And they really still felt the effects of that the next week against LSU. And then the next week against Auburn, you're having to play very quickly with that Thursday through Saturday series. Had to deal with a long rain delay in that final game on Saturday night down in the Plains. And then all of a sudden, you're getting ready to play first thing in the morning, it felt like, against the South Carolina Gamecocks in Hoover on Tuesday. So it was a lot crammed into a very small window for the Crimson Tide. So as Coach Vaughn talked about in an interview with me yesterday on Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, it might be a blessing in disguise. He doesn't want to get used to losing early in Hoover, but he said, you know what, for this team, it might be the best thing to kind of rest everybody. You know, Greg Perone, who's going to likely take the ball today in Game 1 against UCF, you know, he was on very short rest when he made that start against South Carolina. Now he's on full rest. Kind of everybody has been reset, like you mentioned. So I think we're going to see a team that has a pretty good plan of what they want to do moving forward. And, you know, hopefully some of the bats haven't slowed down because this Crimson Tide offense really has been clicking all throughout the year. It's just been a question of can the pitching staff and specifically can the bullpen keep Alabama in games long enough for Alabama to have a chance to play.
And then one thing, too, Roger, that I thought affected this team, even though Max Grant had some bright moments, is Bryce Evelyn's a senior. He's a guy that's a really good defensive player, and he was swinging the bat well early, but he had the hamstring pull early in SEC play, which shelved him for a few weeks. And then he's been trying to get back in the groove. You know, do you think this week and a half may have helped him? And do you think we could see him in the lineup tonight? Because he can play all over the infield, but him, you know, playing second base, I think and hitting in that 9 hole, I thought was when Alabama was at their strongest at times during the season.
Yeah, I'd expect to see him back at second base because I think the Auburn series kind of showed how much, you know, defense is premium for this team, especially in a game like today against UCF. This is one of the better pitching staffs Alabama's going to see in the region. So, you know, this is probably going to be a tight, low-scoring ball game. So what has to shine in moments like that? Defense. So I think Bryce Evelyn gives you your best option there. Like you mentioned, Grant had some great moments played, but defensively put Alabama behind the 8 ball just too many times, to be frank, in the Auburn series. So I'd expect to see Evelyn back there. I still think you're going to see William Hameter in right field.
Gotcha.
Hameter did have a miscatch error against Auburn, but his bat has been red hot. He drove in 8 runs in that series, was good against South Carolina. So I think of the 2 positions that have kind of been up for grabs throughout the year or changed a lot throughout the year, second base and right field, I'd expect to see your veterans in a game like this, Evelyn and then Hameter.
Mm-hmm. Well, you mentioned Alabama's going to see probably the best pitching today. They're probably going to see UCS number 1, we assume. But that's nothing new to Alabama. They've seen a lot of quality pitching this year. But Alabama has been very good in pitch selection as well this season. They're not just up there swinging at a lot of things. I mean, they've been very patient at the plate.
Yeah, they certainly have. You know, C.J. McCants joked with me in an interview a few weeks ago. He said, you know what, we We don't strike out a lot. We don't necessarily walk a lot, but, mainly just cutting down on the strikeouts has been a really good thing for this team. And, Coach Vaughn talks about it all the time. Got to have a pack mentality on offense. No one player is going to beat down the great pitcher from the other team. It's going to take all 9 batters forming a pack to attack different pitchers. So I'd expect to see that today. I think we're going to need really great performance at the top of the order from Gage Miller. Miller has been such a spark plug at the top of the order. But early in the season, you look back to the Tennessee series, it was because of home runs. He hasn't hit a lot of home runs recently. Still leads the team with 18, but hasn't left the yard in a little bit. So if for some reason you get a good contribution from him in terms of power at the top of the order, makes the entire lineup that much better.
Yeah, that's a great point, Roger. And you talked about the pitching staff for this UCF team. And this UCF team is hot because they didn't win the Big 12 tournament, but they had to make a run because, according to the committee, I think they were one of the last 4 teams in.
Yes, they certainly were, and they're working with a first-year head coach, Coach Wallace, who previously was here in Tallahassee as an assistant to Link Jarrett, and then before that with Coach Jarrett on his staff at Notre Dame. So there are a ton of guys on this roster that have some experience from the College World Series for the Fighting Irish a couple of years ago when they knocked off Tennessee and made it to Omaha. So it's a talented roster. It's a team that was picked to finish 10th in the Big 12 and ended up having a great run, as you mentioned, got really hot towards the end of the year. So I think they certainly have Alabama's full attention. It's not like one of these regional matchups where you're going up against a team that is maybe from a one-bid league or anything like that. Now, Alabama knows they're going to get their best shot from UCF, who's certainly been battle-tested through a good Big 12 this year.
What's one of the keys then for today for Alabama to come out on top? Drew and I were saying earlier in the show that if you're going to have success in regional play, winning the first game is very key.
Oh, yeah. Staying out of that losers bracket is everything towards having a good run. And I think Alabama kind of learned that a couple of years ago in the Ruston Regional when they fell in the first round to NC State, had to try and claw their way back and couldn't ultimately advance against the host of Louisiana Tech. So I think this group knows how important today is, regardless of, Florida State on the horizon or Stetson, a really good hot team with kind of a lot of scrappy players that are just always good at baseball. I mean, that's a program that produced Corey Kluber and Jacob deGrom, so you're going to see some talent there. But first things first with UCF, I think you just got to, make sure you make every play defensively. I think the Auburn series showed how important defense is to this team, like we've talked about with Bryce Eblin, and getting more looks at second base. And then for Greg Ferrone, he's got to stay in this game long enough to give the bullpen a chance, and also help save the pitching staff for the rest of the year, especially if you're going to lose that first game. I mean, you've got to be really careful about your pitching the rest of the way. So this is the kind of start where Alabama needs Greg Ferrone to go 6 or 7 innings. And again, maybe you go straight from Ferrone, Dalton Davis II, just to make sure you win this ball game, or Braylon Myers, who's emerged. Myers has been outstanding recently, the junior from Bessemer's Oak Grove High School. I mean, hopefully he can get the ball in some really high leverage situations along with Dalton Davis, because Alabama's going to need both of them in order to close out games and win games. And hopefully a win today, and then you take on Florida State in what could be the best pitching matchup in the NCAA regionals coming up tomorrow, with likely Ben Hess going for Alabama in Game 2 against Jamie Arnold, one of the best pitchers in the ACC for Florida State and really the ace of their staff.
Oh, wow. So is Florida State kind of planning not to throw Arnold today?
That's kind of what we've been hearing so far. Now, something could change later on, but, yeah, I would kind of expect that.
That would be interesting, because I know they played Stetson a couple times, and it was a very, very difficult matchups. But, Florida State may feel like they have the pitching depth to do that. Very, very interesting. But Ben Hess, I know you've been doing the games for the entire journey. I know he got off to a good start, but then he hit a rough patch in SEC play. He didn't throw the ball the way he wanted, but his last 2 to 3 outings look more like the Ben Hess we thought we were going to see the whole season.
Yeah, and he's been able to locate his curveball for strikes. I think that's the whole key, because he's always had pretty good fastball control, but if he doesn't have a curveball also going in the zone, then he can get a little bit erratic, because he loves going to that curveball. He loves it as an option. So the fact that he's been able to keep that in the strike zone recently has been really good for his control, and he just, I think, has his confidence back. I don't know what exactly clicked for him, but you look back to a few weeks ago, even in the tough start against Mississippi State, he found a way to grind through that outing, even though he was sick, just like the rest of the team. And then against LSU and Auburn, he has been, the Ben Hess we've expected to see throughout his time in Tuscaloosa. just unfortunate that injuries, delayed him at the start his freshman year, shut him down early last year, and he's still kind of working through some things from last year's injury that limited him in the fall and in the preseason. So Rob Vaughn kind of knew going into the season it was going to be around this time of the year. We got the best complete version of Ben Hess, and he's the kind of pitcher you can hop on his back and he can take you to a super regional. He can take you to Omaha along with Greg Crone and Zane Adams. I feel pretty comfortable about the options that Alabama has. But you've got to get good starts from the starters. I think you can't have an unmanageable game on the mound, or else it's really hard to win in a regional.
No doubt.
How good has William Hamilton been since coming into that starting lineup for Alabama? You mentioned that food poisoning stuff at Mississippi State. He gets thrown into the lineup, and he
Evan Slight was struggling though, but he really took advantage.
He hasn't looked back.
Yeah, he really hasn't looked back. And like Drew mentioned, Slight has had a couple of tough series there for the Crimson Tide, just not getting many hits or runs batted in. Hamiter's come in and just it's been see-ball, hit ball, it seems like, for him. He's just he's really been what Alabama needed, and that's why, they moved him up to the cleanup spot in the order. He had those 2 home runs on the road at Troy against a really good Troy team. He's just been really solid, and it's almost like, sometimes for teams that go on a special run, you have to have somebody like William Hamiter, who's been on the bench most of the year. His 5th year senior, even though I know you guys are keeping up with all the different eligibility cases coming from the NCAA. Who knows, maybe Hamiter can play indefinitely for the Tide. Maybe we can get Drew Williamson back eventually, too. But no, he's made the most of his 5th year senior year when, a lot of people probably would have shut it down. But, he loves Alabama. He loves Alabama baseball. And that kind of patience has really been rewarded. And, gosh, we'd love to see it be rewarded a few more weekends here in June.
And as far as the matchup on the mound, who is I know you've been talking to Coach Vaughn, studying UCF. Who are we likely to see for the Knights today?
Don't have the name at the top of my head for UCF, but what he mentioned about the pitching staff was like all of them throw strikes, and again, it's the strength of their team. This is not necessarily an offense that's going to overpower Alabama, but the pitching staff really is their strength. So, and again, I apologize for not having the name at the top of the head, kind of away from a computer, but they are going to have their best arms for sure going today, and I think they'll not even try and ride a starter necessarily all throughout the ball game, but they're going to piece together and be very strategic with who matches up with whom against this Alabama lineup.
Well, they've got 5 guys, for example, and I know, look, they've got their top 5 arms all have ERAs under 4, and that's pretty good in college baseball, especially when you're coming out of the Big 12.
Yeah, it really is. And, they're a pitching staff that kind of prides themselves on control, and also they pride themselves on the changeup, Coach Vaughn said. So I think Alabama's been doing plenty of practice against good changeups, not just necessarily BP fastballs. I think they've been doing some different things to make sure they're locked in for what's going to be a filthy pitch coming from all these night pitchers.
Yeah, no doubt. It's going to be a really interesting game, no question. And, of course, Roger will be on the air. There's a pregame. It's set to start at what, 4:55 Central?
Yeah, 4:55 Central. Yeah, it's a kind of a good way they set up this Tallahassee Regional where the games aren't necessarily back to back, at the stadium. So we should be, Florida State and Stetson should be done in plenty of time, so there shouldn't be any delays or anything like that. 4:55, we should be on the air, and appreciate you guys being such a great partner of the Crimson Tide Sports Network, carrying the games all throughout the year.
Yeah, thank you. We're really looking forward. This is the best time of year, man. This is where some magic can happen. We hope you have, a great run over in Tallahassee. We're looking forward to the call. Thank you for taking the time this morning, Roger.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me on. And, hey, let's do this again next week, hopefully talking about a Super Regional.
No doubt, man.
Thanks, Roger.
See you guys.
All right, Roger Hoover, kind enough to join us from Tallahassee this morning ahead of Alabama's regional showdown with UCF. Let's get a break in. And Roger was joking about NCAA eligibility.
Yeah.
He wasn't joking as well because yesterday the NCAA threw another loophole at everybody. Yeah, that's what I had to say too.
.97.7 ESPN The Zone is the Tennessee Valley's #1 destination for the finest in sports talk all day long. Tune in to Talkin Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond each morning at 7. Then, the Morning Blitz with Captain Cool and the Bandy Man. At noon, it's the Tom Abraham Show. followed by Paul Feinbaum and The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. The Zone is also your home for University of Alabama and UAH sports, plus the Atlanta Braves and the High School Sports Streaming Network. And sister station Talk Radio WZZN has Trash Pandas action with Josh Carey all season long. 97.7 ESPN The Zone and Talk Radio WZZN. Listen on the air or download the apps and take them with you everywhere.
It has happened. 171.294 miles an hour.
You wake up late for school, man, you don't want to go. You ask your mom, please, but she still says no. You missed 2 classes and no homework. But your teacher preaches class like it's some kind of jerk. You gotta fight for your right to quality.
Can include pain, heaviness, aching, fatigue, or swelling at the end of the day. If this has been the case, then Varicosity Vein Center can come to your aid. Evaluation and treatment of the veins is performed as an outpatient, utilizes the latest minimally invasive techniques, and is covered by most insurances. After treatment, patients may resume most normal activities without delay. Varicosity Vein Center now has 3 North Alabama locations, one in Huntsville on South Memorial Parkway between Drake and Airport Road. Our new locations include Madison at Madison Hospital Complex and Coleman at the Coleman Regional Sports Medical Center. You can call 256-715-7151 to set up your appointment with one of our experienced and compassionate team members, or you can visit online at varicosityveincenter.com. Varicosity Vein Center, Alabama's premier vein center.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. NCAA eligibility, college baseball. Want to get to all that here in a minute. But first, yesterday we talked a lot about Alabama getting Mark Sears and getting their full roster back basketball-wise.
Right.
Jaron Stevenson coming back as well. Nate Oates sat down with Andy Katz on the NCAA March Madness podcast yesterday and had a very good conversation with Andy Katz and discussed about the Mark Sears situation and how excited it is for Mark Sears to come back.
Got to give a lot of credit to Coach Murphy. Hired Preston Murphy. He's an unbelievable recruiter. So, he's done a great job. I think Final Four run helped. I think there's some guys that feel like there's unfinished business that were on the team last year that want to come back and finish it. Mark Sears being from the state of Alabama, he's super competitive. And, he got good feedback from the NBA. Like everybody that I talked to liked him, but, he wasn't going to get a guaranteed contract. It would have been a two-way. And I think with the way NIL's working in college, kid like him's much better off in college than on a two-way. So the way the college basketball rules are now helped us a little bit. And then, I probably a little bit of luck involved, but I think our playing style, kids want to play here. And I think the way you treat them during the year, there's some loyalty to, the guys that, you look at the guys that are back, like Reitzel and Grant Nelson and Sears, Jaron Stevenson just decided to come back. Even Mo Diabate certainly could have transferred. I think guys feel like they get better in our program, and I think player development's a big deal in college basketball, and it's a fun style of play too.
There you go. A little bit of Nate Oates with Andy Katz yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, Andy Katz declared Alabama the #1 team in America heading into the season. There'll be others that do. I mean, they basically were able to retool their roster and keep their core guys like Mark Sears, like Latrell Reitzel, no question. I think it was big in many ways to keep Jaron Stevenson for another year because, as I said, he was probably even more dicier to come back than Sears. But I think Stevenson has a ton of upside when you think about bringing him back. Mo Diabate as well. I know I don't have Mo playing a huge role at least right away, but we all know he won the Grand Canyon game, and he's one of these role players you just got to have that's going to definitely keep your guys sharp and is going to bring a physicality and an edge to your squad. And so I just think overall when you look at Alabama's roster and then bringing Grant Nelson back for year two, because I think down the stretch we saw what Grant Nelson is capable of doing in the NCAA tournament, and you find out afterwards that he had a knee injury, he had an abdominal injury, he had to get used to playing against grown men.
Right.
And I thought it was neat that Nate Oates also released that Alabama will be traveling to North Dakota State to play in Grant Nelson's backyard, and Dean Smith did that a lot for guys from certain. That's why years ago in the late '80s, early '90s, North Carolina came to Tuscaloosa because of Pete Chilcutt, who was from.
The trip
Academy.
to Canada this past year for Alabama.
Yeah.
I mean, that was when they played Purdue.
Well,
in
that was
Canada.
that was supposed to be for Charles Bediako, but he bailed out.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was for Zach Edey and Charles Bediako, both of them.
Right.
It was supposed to honor both of them. So, yeah, a lot of coaches try to do that. They try to get a home game in some aspect or a road game in some area to kind of honor those seniors. All right, so Roger Hoover kind of laughed at the NCAA eligibility comment there in that interview that we had with him. Of course, he's in Tallahassee getting ready for Alabama baseball. The reason why he laughed was because of all of this lawsuit stuff and all this settlement issues that the NCAA had to come up with this settlement case. One of the things is the agreement is the NCAA would be required to grant an additional year of eligibility to all Division I athletes previously deemed ineligible under the transfer eligibility rule since the 2019-2020 academic year.
So if this happens, that means everybody's got another year.
Oh, if you were deemed ineligible during that time.
No, but you've had to have been deemed ineligible?
You had to have been deemed ineligible under the transfer eligibility rule from starting in 2019 to 20 up until now. If you were deemed ineligible at any point, you get an extra year of eligibility.
Well, that means Javon Quinterly could keep playing, I guess.
Hell, there's a lot of guys that could keep playing.
Until they're 27. I mean, wow.
Cam Rising was one of the guys that, like, they started putting gifts out or whatever and jokes about that he could play until he's 100. I mean, there's a lot of guys that it's so funny of what they're doing. But they had to do this because of the settlement and the lawsuit. But a lot of high school coaches are frustrated because the high school kids, this is another setback in high school recruiting, because if you are a college coach, you could hold on to a guy for another year and it could take up another spot that a high school kid would potentially get.
Yeah.
And so it's going to create another logjam.
Well, I had
COVID.
to sit there and process that again because at first I thought you were saying anybody since 1912. Like,
No. I mean, no.
It was declared
if you were
ineligible.
deemed ineligible starting in 2019, 2020.
Well, then Javon Quinterly was, so I would think
because he had to sit
fall
out.
He would fall in that category.
That is a great example because he had to sit out a year since.
But does he still want to go to play for Penny? I can't coach. Or no, I'm sorry, Penny can't coach away. That's what I call him.
Hey, if he wants to try his luck again, he's more than welcome to.
Well, I mean, I don't think he's going to get drafted, so I mean, he could try to set up an NIL deal and go play for another squad.
But that is the perfect example of it. He had to sit out a year from transferring from one school to the other, and he gets another year because of that.
Yeah. Interesting.
So just think of anybody that transferred, a second time and, whatever was denied that right, all those guys get an extra year. If they want it.
If
they want
now,
to take
maybe JQ wants to just try his wares overseas. Maybe he wants to play for the pro. But here, the thing about it is right now with NIL, you're playing for money in college. And sometimes you can make more. Look, let's not get it twisted. That's why, Mark Sears is back. Because he wasn't going to get a guaranteed contract in the NBA. And he's getting a guaranteed NIL deal to Alabama. So that's the reason you're doing it. Now, he was never declared ineligible, but the one I think of is that would be Javon Quinterly because he tried to transfer from Villanova to Alabama, and they denied him. So that'll be interesting to see if he tries to play yet again.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is, in the wake of the NCAA settlement, and we touched on this yesterday briefly, they will now consider letting college football programs, they're going to consider this, you can put on-the-field corporate logos on your field. So Alabama and Auburn could put a corporate logo on the field and put a corporate logo on the jerseys.
Well, Alabama ain't doing the jersey thing. I heard we heard from Greg Byrne yesterday leaving SEC spring meetings.
Yeah.
He's not real.
That ain't gonna go over.
Not real thrilled about changing the uniform at all.
No,
brought to you by Verizon Wireless or whatever the hell.
They threw a fit. No, Alabama fans were kind of uneasy when they put the houndstooth around.
Well, Ryan Fowler mentioned that. I kind of liked it. He didn't like that.
Around the collar.
I did mention the fact that I would be in favor of white helmets with a white uniform. Now, as Wes Neighbors pointed out, the last time they tried that was when he played, and as he put, we couldn't really complete a lot of passes.
Different time, different era. But still, though, Alabama and Auburn historically uniform, rigid.
Yeah.
Do not do a lot of changes. Don't do anything. But could you imagine? Hell, the Atlanta Braves. We didn't think the Braves would put something on their uniform, but they have a bright yellow patch on their thing. But if it comes down to money, now
I can see them putting something on the field.
Yes, they could put a corporate logo on the field. Get used to it, though.
Yeah.
It could be coming. All right. Let's get a break in.
Speaking of coming, football camps.
Yeah, they're going on all over the place. Apparently, Jalen Milroe has one coming here to Huntsville.
Yeah, I started about that over at Westminster.
Yeah, that one's coming along. So we got that one. There's one going on at DAR with some familiar faces. We'll fill you in about that one coming up next.
97.7 ESPN The Zone is the Tennessee Valley's #1 destination for the finest in sports talk all day long. Tune in to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond each morning at 7. Then, the Morning Blitz with Captain Cool and the Vandy Man. At noon, it's the Tom Abraham Show. Followed by Paul Feinbaum and The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. The Zone is also your home for University of Alabama and UAH sports, plus the Atlanta Braves and the High School Sports Streaming Network. And sister station Talk Radio WZZN has Trash Pandas action with Josh Carey all season long. 97.7 ESPN The Zone and Talk Radio WZZN. Listen on the air or download the apps and take them with you everywhere.
171.294 miles an hour.
You wake up late for school, man, you don't want to go. You ask your mom, please, but she still says no. You missed 2 classes and no homework. But your teacher preaches class like you're some kind of jerk. You gotta fight for your right to party.
56. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
Looking for your next game day party destination? Well, think outside the box and kick back at Flosa Premier. And you may be thinking, isn't that the trampoline place? Of course it is. But it's also the one-stop spot for all things fun. And if kicking back with the boys to watch the game is your jam, then you're in the right spot. Jump or not, Flo tends to all ages, meaning while you sit back and watch the game, but little Jimmy's having the time of his life perfecting that front flip he most definitely wants to show you. You got this, Jimmy. So next time you think Flo, think fun for everyone.
Each week, check out our latest zone deal online at 977ESPN.com.
I'm eating good food.
We are 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. Welcome back into the show on a Friday morning, 8:35. And we mentioned that this is camp season.
Yes.
There's a lot of programs. Okay, first of all, you have the NFL teams going through their camps.
Yep.
You got college teams going through their off-season conditioning. They're starting that right now. Fourth quarter programs, whatever you want to call it. College programs are doing that. High school level, our good friend Gerard Powers was out working with some high school kids yesterday doing a little high school football camp. They're starting to pop up. This is where kids get better, and you learn from others. And what better way to learn from others than others that have played the game?
No doubt. And I have a special affinity for DAR. I mean, it's where my uncle, my dad, my grandmother ran Noah Henry ran the lunchroom for many, many years. And so I'm very familiar with the school. I've had a lot of relatives live over in Grant, Alabama. And really, when you think about it, their football program is still in its infancy, and has not been around very long. And they have a beautiful stadium, a beautiful setting. I've been able to do a couple of games over there, and they're trying to rebuild this program. They had some really competitive years under Joel Poole. Our next guest is trying to rebuild this program. Has some really nice young talent. Had to play a lot of young players last year in year one. And now is putting on a football camp that really will hopefully benefit this program greatly, with a lot of star power from the University of Alabama. And we're going to have him talk about that next. And Kyle Davis has been kind enough to join us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline to talk about this great event coming to the great city of Grant and to DAR and their campus in the very near future. Coach, good morning.
Good morning, guys. How are y'all doing?
We're doing well, good. Coach. I know I saw this several weeks ago where you started, putting this out for the public consumption and to let people know about this camp. You and I spoke about it and wanted you to come on and be able to promote it. It's a really neat event, and it's really going to, I think, help build the foundation for your program. But for our listeners, first of all, just tell us how all this kind of came together for you to put on a camp like this.
Okay, great. First off, guys, hey, thanks for having me on, man. It's, when like you said, when you have a program like ours, that is a young program. It's only be like the 16th year that football's been here at DAR.
Ever. Yeah.
And and everybody knows about DAR's history in basketball. We had a great year last year, and so a lot of people I think know about that. But I was fortunate enough to come in to a situation here at DAR where I've got great support from administration. I've got great community support, great support from my board members. And we just kind of, we were looking for ways to be able to kind of jumpstart it. Because like you say, Coach Poole had some really good years, but, they ran on 4 coaches in 4 years. The interest level had really dropped. Participation had dropped. We started last year in the 20s as far as for a 4A school, and that was kind of tough. So we were just kind of like, what can we do? And I was approached by a guy in the community named Shane Harbin. He knew Marvin Constant, who played Alabama All-SEC linebacker. Mm-hmm. And Marvin kind of has a group of guys that he goes around and does camps with to teach football, but not just football, but some high-character things and kind of talk to kids about what life at the next level is, whether it be, college or, these guys are NFL guys as well. So we got with Marvin. We were able to put this thing together. And really excited about it. I don't know if Grand Alabama's ever had this many stars, other than some really important DAR ladies that are here at times. But we're really excited about it, and I'm hoping that it is, like you said, going to showcase our campus, showcase our town, and give people something here in Northeast Alabama, an opportunity to bring their kids to and learn some really good football. Without having to, travel the globe.
Well, you mentioned stars. How are the stars aligning, and who's coming?
Well, as I said, we started out Marvin Constant. He was All-SEC linebacker for 3 years there at Alabama. He's kind of the head of it. Antonio Langham's going to be there. Bo Scarborough, DJ Hall, Gerald Dixon, Kendall Moorhead. Those are some of the NFL guys, and we're also going to have everybody there is all SEC at some point. Kevin Jackson will be there, Griff Redmill, and then Darius Gilbert will be there. Darius and I actually kind of grew up together in Calhoun County. He was an Oxford guy, I was an Alexandria guy. We got to play some games against each other growing up. Darius was a great player at the University of Alabama, and he's done great things at the high school level as far as coaching and mentoring kids. So we're also going to have some guys that are already at the university right now, playing now.
That's cool.
Keno Knott, Jihad Campbell, Jaden Roberts, and Elijah Pritchett are going to be there as well. So I've had a lot of people say, is this going to be a kids camp? No, it's the football camp. These guys are coming to teach football. They're coming to give these kids something that they can take back to whether, they're middle school kids or high school kids at another high school. They can take back to their school and be better players in the fall.
Yeah, and then and I think it's cool because I've seen Tony Dixon, and I know Tony played for a while for the Dallas Cowboys, and he was a really good player as well. Terry Jones Jr., who I know played for the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, this is a lot of guys that these kids will be able to get advice from, be mentored by, and get better. And that's what it's all about. There's not a better person that can teach the game than Antonio Langham. I know him personally, and he'll definitely take a keen interest in these kids. And I'm just telling y'all, everybody that's listening to this show right now, if you go down to DAR, they have excellent facilities. Their track has been refurbished. They have an outstanding football stadium. It's a beautiful venue to play in. I really enjoyed calling the game up there when I was doing Randolph Raider football, and I just thought it was a beautiful setting. And I think the kids and these guys that you've got coming to put on this camp, I think it's got a chance to be a hit.
Well, it's year one, and obviously year one, there's some things that we're going to learn and do things a little bit better. But I'm going to tell you something. As far as, like you said, facilities to be able to put this thing on, and these guys that are coming in, I don't know anywhere, and I'll be real honest with you, looking at this situation and looking at how we were going to promote our camp and the things we were going to do, I mean, cost is always an issue of what you're looking at, right? I mean, you just have to – that's something you have to factor in. And we looked around at some very similar camps going on, and we felt like that we were very economical in trying to – and we wanted to do that. We wanted to give families and kids an opportunity to, not have to break the bank to be able to come and get this kind of instruction from guys that had played at the highest level of football. and we felt like $125 was a fair market value for what we were doing. And and I believe that when these kids come and they get the instruction from these guys, I believe it'll be something they'll want to do for all the years that we're going to have it. Because, like I said, this is not going to be a one and done thing for us. We're going to try to build off of this, and this is going to be something we're going to make annual here at DAR.
Well, and
first of all, before we get in, let everyone know how they can get a part of it first before we delve in. Yeah,
absolutely. So we have a website, www.NorthAlabamaLegendsCamp.com. You can go on there and register. We're still taking registration right now. You can go on there and register, and we have a Venmo and a PayPal that can be paid with, so it's very easy that way. We're also taking walk-up registration tomorrow from 7 to 9. Still be able to do PayPal or Venmo, however that is. So that's going to be 7 to 9. We'll start the camp at 9. It'll run from 9 to 3. Lunch is provided. We have all that kind of stuff handled. But like I said, the easiest way is just to get registered. There's a Google form on that www.NorthAlabamaLegendsCamp.com, and there's a Google form. They just fill it out, and they're on the registration, and we'll hope to see them tomorrow.
Yeah, we really are. We think this is going to be great. That's why I wanted to get you on and promote this. This is going to be really good for the town of Grant, Alabama. And again, I just think I know there's not a ton of history yet, but I still think a great program can be built. First of all, you got to have the facilities, you got to have the support of the administration, and things can. Sometimes it takes a while, but things can be built. There's no question about it. It's already been proven that they even in its infancy, that there have been winning seasons with this program, and doing something like this, showing a commitment to football, I think is extremely important. And I know football is huge in this state of Alabama, and I admire what you're trying to do. I think you got some really good young players in that program. They were just playing against grown men almost, kids that are playing against young men that are 3-4 years older. I still think there's a lot of really good young pieces in that program, and hopefully this is going to help showcase this program and help get a lot of excitement around DAR Patriot football. Coach, I'm really excited for this opportunity for you guys.
Well, Drew, if people know my history, I've taken a lot of jobs that kind of needed a little bit rebuilding. I have a large family, man. We invest in the community when we come in. We engulf ourselves. We try to be a part of it. And, like you said, I felt like this was something that we could put on that could say, hey, we are here to invest in the game of football. We are here to build the program, to build the brand. And, we're not going to be, like I said, before coaching in 4 years, that's tough for people to trust that that's what you're there to do. And so I kind of felt like, like you said, this was an opportunity for me to say, look, I'm here, we're here. We're bringing this opportunity to you guys to show that we want to make football a high priority here at DAR High School.
Well, it's
also a chance for you guys to get better too, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. I push it on my kids as well to be here. You're not going to get this kind of instruction from these kind of guys, like I said, here in Grant, Alabama. Even in Northeast Alabama, I believe, Madison, Morgan, Etowah, DeKalb, all these surrounding counties that are around us, man. I believe that it's opportunity for those guys as well. Like I said, a lot of times you got to drive to Atlanta or Mobile or, New Orleans or something like that to get some solid camp instruction, but this is something right in your own backyard.
And then, once again, Coach, as you're talking about, anybody is eligible in what age range to take part in this camp?
Yeah, so it's going to be 5th grade through 12th grade. That's kind of what we've decided, just, based on kind of, it's not going to be a kid camp. There's not going to be mascots and getting to shake hands and things, all that kind of stuff. So it's 5th through 12th. A lot of, like I said, a lot of opportunity for guys to get looks, get reps. It's going to be kind of, if you've ever been in the basic camp, morning time is going to be a lot of individual instruction. We're going to time them in the 40. We're going to do a lot of footwork. We're going to do things like that. And after lunch, it's going to be more geared towards offense and defense specialty, and then a competition at the end.
Yeah, it really sounds great, no doubt about it. And once again, tell people about the website and how they can sign up. And as you said, you guys are still taking registration even for the camp tomorrow.
Absolutely. Walk-up registration be tomorrow, June 1st, from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. And like I said, you'll have option for PayPal, Venmo payments, check, however that may be, cash. But up until then, you can go to our website, www.NorthAlabamaLegendsCamp.com, and there is a registration link there for a Google form. You can register right there, and also you have the links for the PayPal and the Venmo. And also, if you just want some basic more information there, too, we also have a Facebook page, just DAR Patriots, that you can go to. And it's got our graphic on there, kind of everybody's coming. And also, guys, I'd like to, just as an opportunity, thank our sponsors, man. We've had some really great sponsors that have helped us out. New Hope Telephone Cooperative, Largen Inc., Wright Equipment. We've had Frederick Services and the U.S. Army. Those guys have kind of got in there and helped to sponsor this thing. So I really want to thank them for sponsoring this, and and for being forward thinking, because they understand too that this is an opportunity for people that they service. In this area of the state, it's an opportunity for the kids, and they wanted to kind of give back to them as well.
Well, I love the work you're doing. We appreciate it, and good luck with the camp. Hopefully, this is a first step in what will be an annual event over at DAR, and for the Patriot football, a big part of the summer, no doubt. But we appreciate the time, Coach, and good luck with the camp tomorrow.
Guys, thank y'all for having me, and look forward maybe to talk to y'all again sometime.
Yeah,
thanks, Coach.
Absolutely. We appreciate it.
Let's get our final break in. Tomorrow's headlines wrapping us up next.
.97.7 ESPN The Zone is the Tennessee Valley's #1 destination for the finest in sports talk all day long. Tune in to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond each morning at 7. Then, the Morning Blitz with Captain Cool and the Vandy Man. At noon, it's the Tom Abraham Show, followed by Paul Feinbaum and The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. The Zone is also your home for University of Alabama and UAH sports, plus the Atlanta Braves and the High School Sports Streaming Network. And sister station Talk Radio WZZN has Trash Pandas action with Josh Carey all season long. 97.7 ESPN The Zone and Talk Radio WZZN. Listen on the air or download the apps and take them with you everywhere.
It has happened. 171.294 miles an hour.
You wake up late for school, man, you don't wanna go. You ask your mom, please, but she still says no. You missed 2 classes and no homework. But your teacher preaches class like you're some kind of jerk. You gotta fight for your right to party.
And Clift Farm in Madison.
time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
All right, time does keep on slipping. And if look,
unless it's a minute and a half, you can spell 29 words.
That was still the best thing I've heard of all day. Jalen Waddle.
Oh, getting paid.
What was that?
Getting paid.
No, come on now.
Getting paid.
There you go. You gotta do it. Makes the former Alabama star one of the highest paid wide receivers in the NFL. He is one of 4 Alabama receivers to sign a contract extension this offseason. He joins Devontae Smith, Calvin Ridley, and Jerry Jeudy in signing extensions, does Jalen Waddle. It's going to pay him 3 years, $84.75 million. So he's getting the money. Speaking of, well, they're not getting the money. They got money from a GoFundMe campaign.
Yeah.
But Birmingham Southern today will kick off their College World Series run on a day when the school says bye. Today's the day. Done.
It's it.
Gone.
It's
out.
Awful.
Close its doors. Adios. You're
Can't
done.
believe it.
But they are playing. So they raised over $100,000 in their GoFundMe campaign.
Oh, nice.
The NCAA is still paying for all of their hotels and travel. They still do that. But this will go for, they said they're going to use it for rings because they're super regional champions and stuff. They're going to get
regional,
some rings.
super regional, yeah.
Yeah, they're going to get some rings for all of that. But yeah,
I wish they'd win it all. That'd be so, you could make a movie.
I think you can make a movie of it right now.
Or a 30 for 30.
Yeah, I think you can.
Yeah, you could.
Nothing compared to the spelling bee, though.
No.
Nothing compared to 29 words.
But we have a Huntsville High guy on that on the Birmingham Southern team, Owen Stevens. He's still he's still a part of it. He's been injured, but he's pitched there for his entire career, as did his brother Jack, and who's now an accountant. But I mean, there's been a lot of great athletes. Tom Runyon played basketball there. I mean, we've had many. Scott Stapler, he was coaching there. And, there's been a ton of great Huntsville talent go to Birmingham Southern, and you just hate to see the university close. It was a great place for a long time.
All right, so they're going to be playing. The Atlanta Braves need to figure out something. Offensively, it's not been good. Here is Brian Schnitker on the offensive woes.
We haven't hit. I don't know. Honestly, if I knew, I'd tell them and we'd correct it. It's not that easy, and just got to keep, like I say every day, we got to keep grinding. That's what we're going to do.
Feels like last year you get a runner a second, and ninth inning with none out, you're like, oh, he's going to score. And then this year you don't have that same.
Yeah, it's a different year. I mean, we scored a lot early in the game last year. It's just nothing. It's not. Yeah, you don't know why things happen in this game. This year we kind of had been scoring late and having a hard time doing that now.
They weren't scoring before they lost Ronald Acuna. They were struggling. They're struggling without him.
Hopefully Alabama won't struggle in softball and baseball today.
5 o'clock
5 o'clock baseball, 6 o'clock softball. You'll hear baseball here on 97.7 The Zone. Roger Hoover on the call against UCF. Bama trying to get off on that right foot in this NCAA regional in Tallahassee.
Look at you. Spell right.
W-R-I-H-T.
You lost. You didn't spell it fast
Well,
enough.
you can spell right any kind of way. What about a last name like Jody Wright? He's the head coach of
spell win.
W-I-N. W-H-E-N. You can spell it a bunch of different ways.
You can.
Jody Wright's at Murray State, by the way.
Spell Alabama.
A-L-A-B-A-M-A.
See, look. And you got to hit the buzzer, though, too. You hit the buzzer every time.
Hi, folks. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford. If you've had your eyes on an Explorer, Bronco Sport, or Escape, it's important to note that they now come with 2-year complimentary maintenance. And because it's SUV season, there's